Today's program is all about stamina, stimulation, but really stamina. The stamina that's emotional stamina, physical stamina, verbal stamina, hearing stamina, seeing stamina. This is the quest for knowledge and spiritual enlightenment. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of my moves. I have my own technique. It's called the electromagnetic technique. And this is based on the fact that the body is 80% water. And your whole body is full of electricity from the top to the bottom. As the guy says, sweeps below me, soars above me, flows through me, never fails to renew me. So if you can harness your own energy, your own power, and use your hands as a conduit for sending it around your body, you can learn a lot of things. Now the reason I know these things is, back in 2012, I caught a heart problem called drowning in your own fluid, which meant the fluid didn't leave, 80% fluid in your body, and it's not going in the right direction. So it goes into your lungs or it goes into your heart. And when it goes into your heart, the heart blows up like a balloon. So when they get the fluid out, if you're lucky enough to be still alive, your heart never goes back to its original shape. But I was of the conclusion, I'd read it in a book called Heaven's Breath by Lyle Watson, my favourite author, that in 1963 in the American Heart Journal, they were saying that there's a thing called the electromagnetic field of the heart. So I reckon that I could resonate with it, because to me the heart is a muscle, but it's the most, it's the most serious muscle in your body. But I reckon if I could resonate with it properly, I could tone it up much better. So I've retoned it to the place now where I'm the only double hip replacement sprinter in Ireland that has the free travel. And I'm of the opinion that I might be the only double hip replacement, free travel sprinter in Europe. And there again, I might be the only free travel sprinter in America. And because I'm anti-Trump, I'd want to be moving very fast if I was over there at the moment. But I'm not going to talk about that gobshite right now. I'm more interested in what I'm talking about. So anyway, I decided I could resonate with the electromagnetic field of the heart. And I developed my own technique. So what I took a bit of the Alexander technique. I took a bit of the Feldenkrais method. I took a bit of the Chinese Qi Kung. I took a bit of the Chinese acupressure. And I took a bit of a guy who, the first person to win Mr. Universe on numerous occasions, who never used weights. He done a thing called dynamic tension. So what I'm going to show you now is just a little move. Now after 5 or 6 seconds, all my veins will stand out, all my muscles will stand out, everything will stand out. My stomach will go back in on its own. But I'll be doing this shallow breathing that I do not recommend at all. I do, but I don't want you to do it. So when I start doing this, you've got to make up your mind whether you think I'm breathing or not. But I'm definitely breathing because I told you I am. But I'm saying to you, don't try it. As a matter of fact, don't try this at home. So here we go. You have to get the stance right. Now watch my stomach, watch all my muscles. After 5 or 6 seconds, I'm going to be grinning at you. But I'm breathing even though you don't think I am. Watch this. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Then you're just going to loosen up. Back again. So I've got all these moves, and I have my own technique which applies to musicians of a particular age. Because when you get to a certain age, the muscles that you've developed to play the instrument now all hold you in the wrong place. So I meet all these lads of a certain age, and they've got pains in the shoulders, pains in the neck, pains in the head. And that's just the program they're playing. And they've got pains in the hips, pains in the calves, pains in their feet, pains all over their body. But the most important thing is here's the sternum. Now we all know about the chakras and the meridians and what I call the rhythm of life. But for me, to use my hands as a conduit and send the energy around my body, I usually use up around here, like that. And then I usually use the sternum, which is under there, and I use the palm of my hand to send the energy in there. Another way of doing it. Of all these different places that I do it in, these are all my own particular technique. So what I'll do is, if there's anybody out there, any music schools or anything to do with fitness, and you're interested in calling me in, I'll give you the number of a young guy called Brian Corscadden, who used to come from Kilcock and live in Enna. Ring him and he'll tell you where I am and where we're going to be. And if you'd like to talk to us, we can do seminars on how to get the body loose. Now, bearing in mind that I'm 80 in October, this year, and I'm sprinting faster than anybody else I know. You've got to figure out how I'm doing that. I'm telling you how I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I figured this whole thing out, what I called the electromagnetic technique. And that's the stomach going back in all the way. That's the muscles. There's the power there now. The shallow breathing, where I don't appear to be breathing at all. That's it there. You can see all that. That's called power. That's the way it works. Now, when I get up in the morning while the kettle is boiling, here's what I do. I go down on my knees and I say, I'd rather die living than live dying. I'd rather die laughing than live crying. I'd rather die giving than give up out trying. And I'd rather die peaceful. I'll put my hands back like that. For all guitar players, this is the move here. The hands have to be facing back that way. That's very simple. Then I'm into this. This is where it gets a little more interesting. I'm back there. And that's for all here, up here. And I look up and I say, spirituality manifests itself in the messengers of goodwill. The purest form of goodwill is compassion. It's unconditional. And I'm back up. I'm looking out. I'm thinking, man, this is easy. How did I ever get to here? Then I do a plank with a bit of movement up and down. Then I do a little bit of this. Well, I'll show you. Here's the plank. A little bit of moving up and down. I do it about 20 times. Then I'm into this move. That's for the hips. Then I'm into this move. Do that about 20, 30 times. Then I finish off with the stomach, the core. That's it there. That's what it's all about. Then you're back up. You hear the kettle. It's boiling. Time to get up. Then you get into your guitar stance in case there's a gig that night, you know. You have to have it together and be able to do that at the same time and all of that. So if there's anybody out there interested in talking to me about fitness, what to do, how to do it, the only thing I don't recommend is the shallow breathing. That's not good. But I have all this, what I call effortless exercises for the elderly. Now, at one time in my life, I was a friend of the elderly. Now they tell me I'm one of the elderly with friends. But lucky enough, I can sprint. And what I want anybody out there who's half interested, find out I might be the only double hip replacement sprinter in the world. And if I am, I'm going to go to Medjugorje, Fatima, Knock, Lourdes, and Assisi, and get in touch with all the different saints and thank them for having me feeling so good, because that's what it's all about. So what I'm going to do for you now is I'm going to do leave all that. I'm going to do some verbal gymnastics. I'm going to try, there's 26 letters in the alphabet, and I'm going to try and do all 26 verses of this little song I wrote called. This is the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z song. So I'm going to try and do all 26 of these. So here we go. I'm going to do it, as the guy says, Acapulco, unaccompanied, on my own. Now, I'm not going to do the Shawano's version, which is, by the way, you know what they're called, Shawano's? Oh, they're all called Shannon, they all sing through their nose, but that's not true, but it's more funny than what it should be. So here we go. The adept aesthetic with the ascetic attitude likes to alleviate the adverse within an ambience of accord. The authenticity of his argument would ameliorate the angst from the astute, altruistic, articulate alternative. This ace arbiter at the apex of his plan was an advocate for ability, agility, athleticism, admiration, affirmation, adulation, adoration, accreditation, assimilation, and advantages for all. Beckoning momentum, whenever a man in fact there was be dazzled, be devil, be guiled, and be used by the body and religion, man, you bastard from Balia. The blue was all away with the birds of the blues. The boys were getting bigger, better and bolder was a bonus and boost the worship for business. No barriers, no borders, no bias, no bitterness. Just back to the basics. Battling with the banks without condoning or condemning or condescending into confrontation, consternation, confusion, collusion or contempt. No chronic, crude, cringing, chagrin or a cacophony of cataclysmic convulsions. They considered Connemara as a conduit of creativity for some conscientious, caring, confident contemplatives, where they would connect in a cascading cadence of confluence that had credibility at its core. Deja vu, the prism of detail as he dainted the ride, the derivative dexterity of the didactic dialectic, whose diffident dialogue was deteriorating into a detached, desolate, destitute diatribe directed at those dedicated diehards, detoxing from debilitating dipsomania and driven by desire and the best of all delusions. They dip down into degrees of decadence and danced until dawn. The eclectic existentialist was ecstatic and exhilarated by the exuberance of the enigmatic egalitarian, who liked to energize every exciting enterprise between the extrinsic and the extraneous. He evolved in these thoughts as exemplary expectation, where he would elucidate, encapsulate an expediency, an empiricist exuding an ethereal exterior, encouraging others to end their enmity. He never fabricated any facet of his faculties. He was a fallible, phantasmal, a formidable fecundity for fusion, a phenomenalist with a fundamental fixation for the firmament, whose fervour fulfilled his fortuitous feet off, which in turn forced the frenzy of frantic funniosity till he finally fulfilled his rescues with a financial advisor who fondled these fibula and fashioned these focus till they famously flew off into the future. He could be generous and gregarious, gloriously full of good grace, with a gift of the gab guild of gravitas and jest. He would never genuflect to the gentry or try and second guess the growth of growing in the well-grounded gardener. He was a genuine genius, a genial goucher who had no gripe with grieving, but would rather groove and grovel those who got his coat. He was a global gladiator, groomed, gleaming and glistening. Though harangued and harassed, harried and hassled, he would hurtle headlong into a herbaceous homeland of heartfelt honesty at the hub of heroism, the host and the healthy haven of the heaving harbour. His hefty hubris was never on hiatus, but the hype and hysteria never hit home, because the honour humility was his only homily as he hitchhiked through history on the highway of hope. Instinctively he knew that the idealist with the idiosyncrasies of an iconoclast would illuminate the illiterate, the legal, illicit illusion of the indisputable incumbent whose inflexibility was infuriating and insulting. The idealist could be ineffable, indefatigable, incorrigible, incorruptible, indestructible, but never ignorable. He could identify with the indolent, the insecure, the indisposed. Intrinsically, he was imagination imbued with impetus. Now, right now, you're starting to pass out watching this. Right? I feel sorry for you. So I'm going to head all the way down to a Z. I'll see. I'll see you again sometime. But we'll be handing out, you know. We'll be handing out air, like, you know, like blue velvet. You'll be sniffing oxygen trying to get through it with me. So here's the last one. Z. Zig and Zag and the Zanies, S for Zeppel, and Zappazizi and Zits and Zombies and Zippers and Zebras and all in the zone of the zoological. They go zing and the Zitter. So when the Zephyrs and they knew the Zulu who won the Zing when the Zimbabwe won the Zenith with the zeal of the Zenith, the Zeitgeist of Zazim. Now, look, come back. Come back. And there's not time to put the tea on yet. But anyway, last Thursday, Fran and myself and Brian, we went to we let Pat Inglesby go, like we were Mount Jerome to the cremation sort of. And it was real nice, because I know Pat a long time. And I remember one of the first things he told me was that when he was fairly young, he learned how to transport himself up into his own imagination, and he'd stay there for hours and then feeling safe and secure. And then when he got a lot older and he got the job on RTE, he was able to transport all the kids that came to his shows to a kind of a magical mystery place, land of make-believe, just using his own words and the sound of his voice. And he was full of boundless goodwill. Like just this generosity of goodwill, it knew no bounds. But we had to let him go, you know, last Thursday. But week before that, I went to see him with his wonderful sister Bridget in a place, Silver Streams in Clontarf, beautiful little hospice kind of nursing home. And they done a great job on Pat, like he said. But so we're sitting there. They've done a great job looking after him. And Pat can't move anything on his right hand at this stage. And he's completely lost his sight. And his left arm that always had polio, that doesn't move at all. But nothing else moves, just one hand, the right hand. And Bridget and myself were sitting there talking, and we're saying that he's probably listening to what we're saying. So after about 15 minutes, the duvet started to move. And you could see Pat's right hand moving. So I put my hand in Pat's hand. And a little grin came on his face and he says, "I'm glad to see you haven't lost your good looks." And I said, "Pa, oh no, Pa, I love you, Pa, and you're a great crack. But I hope I don't see you soon, you know." So anyway, he lay back down. I mean, we hadn't got up, his just hand went back down. And Bridget held his hand. And as Bridget was talking to him, you know, this very peaceful look came out. You know, he looked peaceful all the time, but he looked more peaceful, almost serene, when she was telling him like how much he meant to her and how much she loved him. And when you're looking at Pat, you realise that like he's gone to a place where it's much nicer, and he knows that because he had told me on different occasions that he just loved to go to sleep and not wake up. And I was hoping that would happen while we were there. But looking at him, you knew he was at peace for himself because of Bridget, plus you know, really Bridget. He knew he'd lived, loved, and been loved, and that's all really anybody can hope for. But what I didn't understand, and I still don't understand, and it's happened with my own man, that I can't understand why before they go to wherever they're going, they have to be humiliated, you know, like by not looking your best, not being able to move, not being able to eat, your bodily functions don't work properly. And I always think to myself, like, you know, whenever I meet good people, I realise, you know, how great this world can be, but I don't understand the necessity for all this pain and suffering, humiliating people, stripping them of their dignity. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to sing a little song here, and this is really for Pat, and I'm hoping that Dave, Pat's wonderful nephew, is looking in, which I'm sure he is. And I'd love to have, when we were at Pat's send-off in Mount Jerome, they showed all these fabulous photographs of Pat, and they were playing my version of, well, the only version I wrote, Old Pal. This is slightly different. This is about people dying and not really having any dignity. I've seen a man die, and I've seen the snow fly, seen the earth dry, and I've seen it rain. I've heard the bad dream, and I've heard a voice scream. I've heard it turn me, and I heard the pain. Whenever I meet good people, it renews my faith in how great this whole world can be. I don't understand the necessity for all this pain and suffering, humiliating people, stripping them of their dignity as they search for God. I search for God, Lord. Search for God, and God must know. Searching here, searching there. Everywhere. Pat Inglesby, poet, writer, broadcaster, entertainer, Dublin character, and a true friend. For me, my love.